All right, y'all, welcome back to For the First Time podcast. I don't really have an intro saying. I did, but I forgot it, so now we're rocking with whatever I remember right now. What's up, guys? It's been a minute. Let's be so real. I've actually recorded a couple of these episodes before and just not uploaded them, and so they're just my personal stash now, so... hot computer over here. But no, I am back, and I have been watching new things, especially new things to put on this podcast. So here I am doing that, and we're gonna start today with a banger, just like we started the podcast. We're gonna be talking about Miss Congeniality. Okay, this is Sandra Bullock. Now everybody knows young Sandra Bullock goes stupid. Okay. So let's all teleport back to the year 2000, December 22nd to be exact, and remember a more peaceful time, the time of the future, right? We thought we were living the dream. Okay, there's CGI in this movie. Why? I don't know, but let's talk about that. So yes, Miss Congeniality. Welcome back For the First Time podcast. If you're new or unfamiliar, this is a podcast where I watch TV shows or films that are quote unquote classics for the first time. No, not in quotations. For the first time is real, but I watch TV shows that are considered classics or cult favorites or etc. For the first time, and I review them, and I review them from a very from an updated lens, does it still hold up? Additionally, though, from young adults, from the brink of Gen Z, hey guys, I was the last of a dying generation. If the boomers ever tell you that, they're wrong. It's the people in between millennial and Gen Z. Right? Because some of these things I'm watching, which I'll go on to do episodes about, right, are so millennial to me. So we are finally discovering what the buzz was about. So hey, let's get into it. So for those who are new here, which is pretty much everybody, because even I'm new here, I just got here, I just moved actually, which is why there's a brand new location. If you're familiar to the old location, that doesn't exist anymore. Whoa, it's my new setup. So anyway, let's get into this, because I thought it was quite the film. Okay, so this was not written. Well, I can start with the writers. That's fine. Hey, writer strike. Let's start with the writers. This is written by Mark Lawrence, Katie Ford, and Karen Lucas. Now, 3 brains to create what I just saw. I suppose. Sure. Looking at some of the other things written by these folks, it takes 3 brains sometimes. Now, I will say, I'm not going to love every movie I watch. And if you loved Miss Congeniality, which IMDb seems to say that people decently enjoyed this movie, hey, I'm going to be your hater today. I'm going to be the devil's advocate. So, yep, Mark Lawrence, Katie Ford, Karen Lucas. Again, if I ever meet any of these people in real life, hey, I just don't like this one. We can talk about anything else, but not this one. So, those are the writers who brought Sandra Bullock to life in the American Beauty pageant space, and it's directed by David Petrie, and he's also done the film How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which is also a pretty loved film from my memory of the 2000s. That was in 2003, so he's got his hand in the white background woman in a dress rom-coms. And so, like, you guys know what I'm talking about, the poster where it's just a white background and then just splat in the middle is the actress or a leading actor, and there's really that's what's supposed to attract you. I don't know, it's just like the look of the time. Anyway, so that's what this movie is to me. And so we have Miss Sandra Bullock, front face, she's wearing an FBI sash, has a gun, boots, and a dress on, an American flag, and rose. Everything that you would think of, shouldn't be, the whole point of this movie, the whole theme of this movie, which I do talk about themes for those who are new as well, is juxtaposition, right? But I will argue to say it's it's not a nail biter. It's not by any means a film I was looking to finish. So, or I was racing to finish, I should say. But yeah, it came straight out of the year 2000, the year of the future, the year of the next generation. So, hey, this is pushing boundaries. Actually, let's talk about it. But yeah, so I watched it on HBO Max. Actually, a lot of the not throwback movies. There's a lot of good older movies on HBO Max that I'm probably going to just take an HBO Max deep dive. So be prepared for all of these to come off of Max, not HBO Max. Apologies. Don't sue me. So, no, I'm kidding. But, yeah, so the tagline for those who have not heard of this movie somehow, some way, an FBI agent must go undercover in the Miss United States beauty pageant to prevent a group from bombing the event. The whole plot of the movie is based on the potential of a bomb. And so in between the scenes of Sandra Bullock being turned into a girl, there's also scenes of a bomb being made. Now they're really they give 2000s hacker just the computer screen or just the hand, so you can't see the identity of who's making the bomb, right? That's the whole point, is we don't know until the very end. It's an action movie, right? It's an FBI movie, right? They have to figure it out. We can't just know from the beginning. So yeah, those scenes are very critical to the plot. I would have totally forgot the bomb was being made because there's just too many great jokes in between. Not at all. But I don't know if you guys are reading the sarcasm here, but basically those scenes are really funny because they're just such nondescript scenes, and they're just they feel so randomly placed. But let's go through it. And I have notes to this movie like I do every movie, because you're all here for my opinion. Let's be so real. But I'm gonna start, of course, with the character. So I've mentioned, hey, a time and a half, Miss Sandra Bullock. But also in the top cast, we have Michael Caine. Okay, this man acts. Whatever he's in, I want to say this. Every character rent was due, okay? They had bills to pay. It was the year 2000. They didn't know if the years were going to keep going. They thought the world was going to end. They didn't know what was going to happen. They thought time was going to stop in the year 2000. So everyone in this movie acted their off, okay? Michael Caine, right, as Victor Melling, who's the guy who's the pageant consultant, that's the word I'm looking for. We have Benjamin Bratt playing Eric Matthews, who is the other detective, who's the lead detective on the case, on the finding the bomb, because they get them in a serious letter. He's the lead guy on finding the bomb. We have Candace Bergen, who plays Kathy Morningside, who is the villain. She is the director of the pageant and has been for the last 25 years or some made-up number, and now she's getting fired. And so that's her whole vendetta. That's her vendetta. William Shatner, who literally just plays the Stan Fields, who's literally just the host, I think, of the of the whole thing. Let's scroll down. Okay, yeah. So we got Heather Burns playing Cheryl, or Miss Rhode Island. Melissa DeSosa playing Karen, or Miss New York. Wow, she looks very different in her IMDb picture. That's all I can say. A handful of other names. Wendy Raquel Robinson playing Miss California. Deirdre Quinn playing Miss Texas. Asia De Marcos playing Miss Hawaii. Now, Miss Hawaii, there was so much xenophobia in this movie. Not even xenophobia. It was people had so much hate against Hawaii, and it was really odd to see, especially right now, knowing what Hawaii's going through, and just how they've built this they've built into nationalism this disgust, or this superiority complex with Hawaii and its citizens. And so that was just not fun to see. It just, it didn't age properly. It didn't age well. It aged like milk for them to be making fun of Miss Hawaii the whole time, and making a joke about aloha and aloha. I mean, I have a lot of opinions, but let me go real quick, because I totally forgot about the Rotten Tomatoes. And let's get into that, because this movie is an hour 49, right? It's PG-13, explicit language, comedy, action, all that stuff, because they have to make so many jokes about women and women's bodies that it couldn't possibly be a PG movie. But wow, let's get into it. 41% on the tomato meter and a 69% audience score. Now, I always say, or I don't always say, I say this a lot. I don't know what I always say about the tomato meter, but I'm going to always say now, the audience score is higher. Let's be so for real, okay? So, the critics' consensus, though critics say Bullock is funny and charming, she can't overcome a bad script that makes the movie feel too much like a fluffy, unoriginal sitcom. I don't even know if I would call it fluffy as much as I would call it sexist. So, yeah. And the whole plot of the movie is like, oh my God. First of all, Sandra Bullock has to play a pick-me. That's not her fault, though. That's not her fault. Again, everyone played their role, and she was given the role of pick-me, and she played it. Like, what the rent? And you would do it too for a check. Like, give her her crown, her flowers, because she ate that pick-me role right up. Okay, so that was my kind of. What words am I thinking of? That was my. That's what I kind of was like, ugh. Really? We needed that? Like, every joke that was made that I was like, but did they have to say that? Yeah, that's what this movie really gave. Box office, 106 million, though. That's, hey, they made money. Let's say, you can't say they didn't make money. All right, but some of the top critics, Carrie Rickey says, it's a likable comedy with many pratfalls, a couple loud laughed out loud moments, and a deep understanding of pageant superficiality. That was a positive review. It's a likable movie with many... I read these sometimes and the voice in my head is like... It relies a lot on physical humor, which... is not my favorite type of and I'm a comedy person. I'm a believer that comedy, we're missing comedy in the world. Like, I believe comedy is a dying breed, but I am still gonna be the person who comes at it with the lens of like it doesn't have to be offensive though. So it relies a lot, if not on the comedy of like casual jokes about women and like kind of it's like satirical and not satirical, ironic and not ironic, whatever, but a lot of the rest of it is just her. She falls like 16 times in heels, like just physical comedy, just like her stealing donuts and shoving them in her mouth. Oh, that's funny because she's a girl and girls don't eat donuts, they don't eat calories. Or the scene where the girls, she brings a pizza and they're like, oh, you can't eat that pizza, it's too many calories. And then she's like, really? Because I'm gonna eat this nice cheesy pizza. So maybe these aren't physical. Maybe they're all having to do with women and bodily issues. I guess, yeah, it pulls the layer back. Hey, if this was forward, I think we went in the right direction. I think, not really, but I'm gonna say I think. Another positive comment: pleasant and entertaining for teens and older. I can't imagine being 16 watching this movie. I mean, I guess you would think it's funny because you're like, haha, like, they're making fun of, like, girls don't have to be always what boys want them to be. Like, they can be whoever they want. No, they can't. That's the whole plot of the movie. Sandra doesn't get the guy until she's exactly what he thinks she should be. Because before, when her hair was in pigtails and frizzy and in a ponytail, she was ugly, right? When she used to eat like a normal human being, I mean, she did eat a little... They dramatized that. It was a little monstrous. But when she eats normally and she eats whatever she wants, and pizza and beer and steak, because she's not a girl, she's a boy, she eats steak and pizza and beer. He didn't like her. He thought she was a freaking slob. He liked other girls, the pretty blonde girls, to put together whatever the heck. So I think that point is driven home way too hard for this to be a teen movie. But it's PG-13. She's correct. The year 2000, I tell you. But yeah, so a bad review. I mean, this is my last one. A negative review. Predictably cute, idiotically misleading. Nick Schrager. Now, I will say the man giving the one bad review. Not one, but me reading the only review that happens to be a man and happens to be bad. Hey, that makes me a little like, maybe it was for the girls. Maybe the girls love this movie, and it wasn't a movie for men. And that's what made it work, right? Like, oh, it was all these young girls going in and being like, I'm different and that's okay, and I can still dress up and be one of the girls, but I choose not to, and that's what makes me who I am. And that culture, even if those girls choose to dress up, that doesn't make them dumb, that just makes them feel pretty. And it's okay to feel pretty when you dress up, and it's okay to want world peace and to make friends in groups that you didn't expect to make friends in. If that's the whole plot of the movie, okay, I'll give it to you. Because if that's for the girls, it's for the girls. But from a general genderless review, it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, with those reviews in mind, right, pretty low, 43%, or whatever I said. What did I say? 41% on the tomato meter and 69 on the audience score. Let's dive into the themes here. So I always get ahead of myself, but I've touched on it a lot, right? So the idea, even in that synopsis, right, that it's pulling the lid off of like beauty pageants. And even now, I mean, obviously we're in the I was gonna say we're in the we're in the AC universe of toddlers and tiaras, the after Christ, the after TT, the ATT, after toddlers and tiaras, age of time. And so with that in mind, I do think beauty pageants have morphed into a completely different thing. Of course, there's the running joke in the movie that it's not a beauty pageant, it's a scholarship contest or something like that. So trying to like say, oh, it's not about what they look like, these are intelligent women, like they're all proving their intelligence and their skill in order to win a scholarship, like it's all about merit. And like obviously it's not all about merit, like we know that. So the running theme for sure is beauty and hyperfemininity and like the attachment that society has to femininity at this point in time, in the year 2000 or in the early 2000s. And I think the conversation of like girl versus like, not conversation, but the conversation about feminist theory or being a feminist, etc., and what it meant at the time, and just other ways to be a woman that weren't in line, right? Because we have like, if I'm thinking of the same time, how to be a different type of girl, but you're all still within this like label of girl per se. And when you're not, right, like as Sandra Bullock's character shows, you're like not a girl, you're not a woman to them, you're like this third idea of being, because you're not a man, you're not a woman, but you're not, because you're not attractive, you just are, you just exist. And people don't see you for who you are, people don't respect your ideas, things like that. So it's a conversation to be continuously had, but in this movie I think it's really just a conversation of like, okay, how can I still be myself in society? Because that's what Sandra Bullock ends up doing. And she's like, okay, I know I have to dress up and I have to play the part. And I think that's like what I felt as a younger girl. Like I know I have to do it. So like if I'm gonna play the part, like I'm still gonna play it my way. And it breeds this idea that we've created, or this idea that we talk about a lot, being a pick-me of like, oh, now she's just like, oh, like I'm better than everybody else because I'm different, like I'm this, I'm that. And it breeds a new like inner turmoil between women that doesn't need to be there, when it's just like, oh yeah, we are all different and that's okay. And yeah, we don't always have to be attractive to men or like aim to be what men deem attractive, like that's okay, like everybody can calm down. But this movie is like, it doesn't go into that conversation. It doesn't say like, oh, we don't have to be attractive. It just is like, okay, like we can be attractive and we can be smart, and we can be, but we're still the butt of the joke about women not eating anything, or we're still the butt of the joke about women who do unfeminine things or like inappropriate things in a dress. Like there's still these like running jokes, and I'm like, so what did we really accomplish something with this movie? So there's that, the like conversation of hyperfemininity, feminism. Why can't I think of the word feminism earlier? Feminism, and what it means to be a feminist in society, right? Because she's obviously like, there's multiple lines about like Sandra Bullock being a feminist, and like she's one of those people who believes that beauty pageants are dumb and all the girls are stupid and whatever, because she was never chosen. She was never one of those girls. She was always the girl right in the beginning, because a 2000 movie. What was a 2000 movie without a flashback, without a young child, and then we morph into the adult version. We see one scene of their childhood that made them who they are today, and we happen to just be seeing that super relevant scene. And so anyway, so she's always been the girl to stand up for people no matter what, and she's not a girl she's always gonna fight back, and she's always gonna stand up against men, because that's who she is. She's a feminist. So that line barely held a string, but it was there. It was running parallel to everything else. If Miss Congeniality is just a big American flag, if the whole movie is just an American flag and each girl is one of the stars and all the lines of a different plot, hey, there's one really, really small thread that is Sandra Bullock being a feminist, and actually a good one and not a pick-me. And so, I don't know, coming from like this didn't mean anything to me per se. It was a funny movie, but at the same time it was like I was laughing at jokes and I was like, that's not that funny though. That's not that funny. Like, oh, she stole 3 donuts, that's not that funny. She's hungry. Like, she deserves to have the donuts. Like, why is that funny? Like, why is she starving herself to be a part of a beauty pageant, to be skinny, when she was skinny before eating meat and skinny before eating meat or whatever? Like, we all know what a balanced diet looks like, so you can't tell me she was eating one way and looking like that and then changed in her eating and she looked the same. Dog, nah, bro. But I think it's like a representative of like women changing themselves to try to fit a mold and a model, and so I'm like, it didn't do anything for me. It was just like she went undercover, and the only reason she went undercover is because she wanted to be taken seriously, because she was a woman in a man's field not being taken seriously. And so now she has to perform to be taken seriously. She has to be one of the girls to be considered attractive. She has to be, just like, dude, I don't know. I didn't get that. Like, it should be helpful. And then, two, she's not a girl's girl. And I like, if that's the theme of the movie, be a girl's girl. She's not a girl's girl till the end. That's lame. Why is she not a girl's girl in the beginning? She hates every other girl. Girls are just drama. That's why I don't hang with them. Like, Sandra, I know you're playing a role, girl, but like, we're always supposed to be girls. So that's why at the end it was like kind of cute that she became a girl's girl, but it was like only after she decided to fit in. So I'm like, we can all be for the girls and supportive of the girls, and girls could all be different people and you can support any girl. She doesn't have to look like you or act like you or whatever for you to support them. And I think that's what we're growing into as a society, and that's what is like pissing so many people off, is the idea, especially like with the Barbie movie, which, hey, I have words for the Barbie movie, but we're here now, and like this is the Barbie movie of the 2000s, in my opinion, because I haven't seen anything else. Don't come for me. But I simply am just like, for people who didn't get Barbie, like who didn't understand, we're here at Miss Congeniality at minimum of like, okay, once she said, look, I'm not gonna be perfect, I'm gonna be who I am, I can dress up, I can play the part, but all you guys need to realize, like, I'm still who I am underneath all these clothes. Like, I'm still my personality, I'm still the girl I've always been. So even if you go parade around and put on the clothes and play the part, like, you're always still gonna be yourself, so why not just be yourself? Like, and it's society's problem to decide, like, if you're like, it's not your problem. You're not the problem. Society is the problem. And so as we're all moving towards like the Barbie movie, where every person, like, bring back the idea that every girl, and uniting every girl in the idea that we can all be different. We can all be whatever we want. We can all be president one day in life, like bringing back a sense of hope and drive, and as someone described it in a TikTok, like reckless, what did she say? Reckless aspiration or something like that. Like men just, they go for things no matter what. Doesn't matter if they, like, the classic example, like, even if a man sees a job description and he's like, I can do half those things, he's still gonna apply. If a woman sees a job description where she's like, I can do half of those things, she's not gonna apply because she doesn't think she's qualified. But it's kind of just like reckless ambition. Like, just go do it. Like, we're all learning things as we go. This is all our first time doing this world. Like let's let's all join in on understanding that nobody really truly knows what's going on. We're all kind of making up the wheel as we're all kind of building the boat. We're all building the plane as we're flying it, okay? We're all building the plane as we're flying it, so let's all fly together. So yeah, I think this movie, like, as quirky as it was, I agree with the critics. Not for the reason that the critics say it's boring and it's predictable and whatever, because I think it's cute. I mean, I remember watching it as a kid and thinking it was funny. I don't remember why. Probably because there's a lot of slapstick humor. Yeah, so there's probably a lot of physical humor made it more funny, even if I didn't get the jokes. I was like, oh, she fell. Oh my gosh, she busted ass. That was funny. So, like, it's playing to two types of comedy here, and I don't know who is this for whose. I guess the sarcasm's for women and the slapstick comedy's for men. I don't know. But I don't think the movie I'd fall in love with, per se, because I want to know, I need to know a couple things before I, like, really am like, oh, full support of this movie. Like, I need to know the backstory, because the script, they're right, the script wasn't, like, super thick, again, the biggest plot is the bomb, and we, honestly, I was kind of assumed the lady leading the pageant was evil either way before they even started. I assumed she was going to be evil because she gave those vibes. She gave supervillain, even though she was helping them at the beginning. Yeah, it was weird. It was like, yeah, of course she's going to play along because she wants, like, it to be seen and, like, a big idea and a big problem, whatever. I will say a couple things because I'm looking at my notes again. The ad placements, flawless. One thing about the early 2000s, the ad placements go stupid, okay? When she's first in the apartment and she's punching a punching bag, it's an Everlast punching bag, right? Because she's a fighter. She's a beat it up, beat all her problems out. And she takes, like, a 20-second deep breath pause, and the logo is perfectly facing the camera. 8. Second scene right after that, when she's in a rush, she goes to get Starbucks. Mind you, that's all she's good for in the beginning, going to get Starbucks. I guess because she got somebody shot, which rightfully so. She could have just listened to the guy and not. I mean, she's right and she's wrong. She's right and she's wrong. But, like, I don't know, man. That was the first couple of scenes. I'm just like, where are we going? Where are we going? But it's establishing what is anyway. But the Starbucks ad placement, flawless. Love that. And the Jersey accents in this movie are bad. Are really bad. Let's talk about the let's talk about the theme of stereotypes. That's another theme. Hey, every state is just a stereotype. Every single state is just a complete stereotype of what the states are. Texas has a thick country accent. Like, New York is really aggressive and she's somehow a lesbian, and New Jersey's an asshole, and, like, what? Like, what? Who came up with this? And California's just a sweetie pie. She's just a little valley girl. Like, every state is a stereotype. Every single person in this movie is a stereotype of who they are. Like, I think, again, it was just, like, playing on those to make jokes. Like, all the jokes were about, like, stereotypical, like, what people are supposed to be, and if they weren't what they were supposed to be, like, oh, it was funny. Whoa. Anyone who's not what society says they're supposed to be is the butt of the joke. Or the butt of the joke is that they are this stereotype, that they do align with the stereotypes that are being placed on them. That's the crazy part, dog. This movie threw me for a loop, bro. And let me see. I'm just gonna pull out a couple funny quotes because to be frank with you, we're moving into the final section of Second Date Never. And no. And there is a Miss Congeniality too, and I may watch and I may not, but I can tell you, if it's anything similar to this one, I really don't need to. I think I'm really okay. So I would say no. I probably wouldn't go on a second date with this person because I'd be like, hey, so what was that about? Like, what did we go see that for? What do you want me to do? Laugh? And especially because it's the year 2000, so it's a man. I don't know. That's not like embodying. Like, if a girl took me to see this movie, hey, so what was that about? So, how'd we get there? A couple funny things. Hey, Sandra Bullock wasn't wearing shoes in the hotel. I don't know if that's the early 2000s, but I will never walk in a hotel without shoes on. The whole movie too, talking about like the real reason that it really was just kind of like a little gross. I was a little grossed out. The whole movie, it's just men behind computer screens judging women. the whole movie, because they've got an eyepiece and earpiece, and they're all getting this like really this view of women that they don't normally get, whatever. So yeah, that was crazy. That was a lot for me. That just made it a little icky. Some quotes: feminists, intellectuals, ugly women. This one, the evil woman was like, hold on, let me plug in hold on. Sorry, okay. I just had to plug in a bunch of other things and come back to that, because I have stuff to talk about, so I had to plug, the camera was dying, so we're back. But, she said, the evil main lady was like, all the people who hate us, feminists, intellectuals, ugly women. And that's the point where I was like, dude, so this movie is really just about, it's about pretty versus ugly. It's about hyper feminine versus not, versus masculine, whatever, masculine woman, like, you know, and like, that was the point where I was like, what the heck? Like, what do you mean? So you said that anybody could be pageant girl, but not anybody could. This isn't a movie to say like anybody can be pageant girl. It's saying anybody who's against the pretty women, they're ugly, they're intelligent, they're feminist, they're against girls just having fun and being pretty because they're ugly and they're just haters. No, girl. So no, girl. And it wasn't like Sandra Bullock was ugly before they freaking took her ponytail out. Oh, and then two in the broadcast at the very end, and New York makes it to the final 10, and she comes out and she's like, if anybody can be a lesbian and make it to the top 10 in the Miss Congeniality, it's me. Like, I'm here to show you that you could do it. Like, you could be a lesbian. And then the producers are like, cut to commercial. And one of them was like, can we say lesbians? And the other one said, got a problem with that? Hey, I hope to remember that for the rest of my... Can we say lesbians? Got a problem with that? Like... So that's what I'm like, some of it was like, oh yeah, women can be lesbians, but that's a man. Like, of course men will let women be lesbians. They think it's hot, okay? They're gonna let them be anything hypersexual. Now, I didn't say this movie wasn't hypersexual. It's definitely that. It's hypersexualization of women. And like, women have to be sexual beings in order to be approved in society, no matter what. So you have to be attractive to be sexual, to be approved. You can be a lesbian, but you have to be sexual and you have to be attractive. I'm not doing it with ugly lesbians. That's what it gave. The whole movie just gave, if you're ugly, you're a problem, or if you're not conventionally attractive, you're a problem. And they gave her the Miss Congeniality where they end, but I was like, you guys liked her personality because she fought for her personality, but at every twist and every turn, you hated her personality. She broke into your stereotypes, into your comfort zone, and made it uncomfortable, and y'all didn't like that. Y'all didn't really like her, and it turned her into a pick-me. So you're wrong. And the famous quote, hey, I'll leave it with this. Second day never? No, probably not. I watched that movie. I did pause it right in the middle, and I was thinking about giving up, but I finished. I saw it through to the end because I wanted my crown. Okay? But I'll leave you with this. Describe your perfect date. I'd have to say April 25th, because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. That was the best joke of the whole movie. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. Thank you to all the pageant contestants. No, but, you know, seriously, this movie is something, and if it gave us anything, it gave us April 25th, because it's not too hot, it's not too cold. Lesbians, can we say that? You got a problem with that? That's all we needed. That's it. That's all we needed. So, yeah. I hope you guys enjoy this one. I mean, what's your perfect date? Let me know, because... April 25th is pretty good. I'd probably give it to like September 15th. Similar vibes, not too hot, not too cold, but cooler than hotter, right? We're cooling down, and we want to cool down. Versus like on April 25th, if it's a little cool, I'll be like, oh, I just really want it to be summer. So yeah, I'd give it to like September 15th. Perfect date. Hey, argue with your mom. But yeah, Thanks again for tuning in to For the First Time podcast. You can follow me on socials, mainly Instagram. I'm not on X. Blame Elon Musk. So follow me on Instagram for new episode releases and updates there. And definitely leave some comments below to tell me what you thought about this movie. If you watched it a long time ago, if you watched it for the first time, kind of like I am, let me know, because I was a little traumatized after this one, and especially with Barbie in mind. Hey, this movie did not eat. All right, I miss Barbie, which I'm probably gonna go watch again and then do an episode about. So stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, thanks guys for tuning in. See you in the next one.